Hola.
Hello.
How's it going, everybody?
We are good. I'm excited. I'm on vacation.
I thought you weren't going on vacation until the 9th.
Yes, but I'm on vacation from my job because it's the weekend.
Well, fair enough.
I'm just sitting.
my other job, I mean. So.
I'm just sitting in a dealership trying to buy a car. So.
Ooh, what kind of car are you buying, Tatiana?
Kia Soul.
Oh, nice. I had an old Kia Spectra 5, and the engine exploded.
Are you trying to put her
off?
off?
No, I should have followed up with that. They are very good cars. It was just very old, and I didn't take care of it. Now I have a Jeep.
Jeep. Are you excited about your trip, Quignall?
I am. I'm starting to get a lot of anxiety, though. I'm running around doing all my packing right now.
Yeah.
It should be all right, though. No students wanted to meet up. A bit disappointing.
Well, they're also very shy.
Yeah. I think I'll keep offering throughout the next week and a half.
Yeah, and can you send pictures and things?
Oh yeah,
as well?
I'll post them in the chat.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to be a speaker? I know there's only one other person, but you're welcome to request to be a speaker if you'd like. While we wait for more people.
That's Kim.
Oh, hi, Kim. See, I don't recognize people from Telegram and Twitter.
See, I'm all about that Twitter life, so I know everybody's alias.
No, you scoped out everybody. Cool. Dr. Kim. And it's Dead Cake. Hello, Dead Cake. Can you request now so we can hear from you today?
San's not letting you get away this time.
Yeah.
I heard you guys were talking about what to go over, like talking points as well. The 44 matches. Didn't we also begin lessons? Not on a wide scale yet, but I think we're starting to get some lessons going, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we are. Sorry, you go.
Oh, yes. And like when I say like 44 matches, it means that the mentors already contacted the students. Like, for example, Rebecca, she cannot be right now here because she has her first lesson with Alexander.
Can anyone take why Dead Cake is it was she was requesting, and I see a note that she's requesting, but I don't see how to let her in.
I let her in, and she was a speaker for me, and now she's a listener again. So let me try to invite her again.
Okay. It'll be cool if we can do this kind of thing on our own app one day.
Right.
Just saying, if anyone from Twitter HQ is listening.
Melonhead. I'm starting to get sick of Twitter.
Yeah.
But it's also sometimes a necessary evil.
It's very useful. This is how that we got started from. You guys probably know Pekka, who does the Fat Nick Soup daily thing. He retweeted my first ever request for people to join, and it got about 60,000 views, and that's how it all started.
And the rest is history.
Sure is.
Oh man, how much do I pack and how much do I don't? Swiss Air will let me check in luggage on the way in, but they won't let me check luggage on the way out. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Can you buy extra luggage if you need to?
Well, they won't let me put
Extra.
it on the plane.
Oh, okay.
So I as much as I can bring with me, I can only bring back half of it home. Unless I mail it. I guess I could go Ukroposhta.
Yeah, sounds expensive.
I did like a quote. It was like $80 and my check luggage was 75. So I was like, maybe not
That's
bad.
not bad.
I'll just have to wait a month for it to come back.
You'll probably want to bring back lots of Vareniki, which might not post well.
No, probably not. Can I get this overnighted?
Yeah. Have you got people, in Lviv, or are you going completely solo?
Yeah, I was telling Dead Cake I'm flying solo, going lone wolf.
Nice. Welcome, Val. Do you want to request to be a speaker?
I just invited him to speak. Know if he has a good internet today.
Storms aren't as bad as last time, but I'm not too far away from Val as the crow flies, and we got another fall storm, but it's not as bad as it was last week or 2 weeks ago, or whenever that last meeting was.
Cool. How's it going, Val?
Good. How's everyone?
We're good. We're on vacation in my house.
Oh, that's did you actually already leave on vacation, or?
I haven't left the country. I leave on Tuesday, but I'm officially off work.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. How are things your side?
They're good. My headphones are having issues for some reason.
Should we I know there's not very many people here yet, but we may as well get started on something relevant so that people join.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because
Quigner
it's recorded. So yes, let's start.
Yeah, sure. Let's stop with the chit chat. Quigner, have you had any more lessons, and can you tell us anything more about them? I'm picking on you because you're here so early.
Yeah, fair enough. We have had, I think, 4 total, maybe 5 at this point. Can't remember when we had the last session where it was like I'd only had 1 at that point, but yeah, it's going great.
Amazing.
It's going great. Kind of as we were discussing, student led. In between sessions, Alexander, who I'm working with, he'll send me videos of things that he likes and like pictures and articles and stuff. So we'll look them over, and it's actually kind of funny. Inevitably, we don't even end up talking about it. We just get carried away, and
that's beautiful. Yeah. So can you alleviate some of the worries people might have about the lesson content? Because some teachers, some mentors who haven't done any teaching before, obviously want to be prepared and are looking over the course material and things like that, which is great. And some students may want to follow a structured course. But what we're trying to offer is there's going to be 3 options for materials. One will be just conversation starters on a topic, and you're more than welcome to just go completely off topic and just talk for 40 minutes, which is wonderful. The second option is a more structured approach, which will probably work best for people who have a good understanding of grammar and why certain rules exist in English, so that you can explain them. The third option is going to be what's called a flipped course, which is where the student is sent the topics before the lesson so that they can prepare themselves and make sure that they understand some important grammar rules and vocabulary before the lesson, so that you can really maximize your time during the lesson or session. Just doing that speaking and conversation practice. So those will be the 3 options. if you had to guess, which type of material would you request for your current student, Quignal?
We like to talk about traveling a lot and just like hobbies in general. We both like nature a lot, so it's like history, nature, and hobbies and that kind of stuff. So with my current student, it's that kind of first way you described, pretty free form. The secondary method, that's more structured with the lesson plans. Those are really great. They're really easy to follow. Anybody who might have apprehension about that kind of first, like, free form, just open dialogue, it's great because there's lots of talking points. Everything's kind of related, and it really breaks it down. And it does lead itself to conversation too. So you might spend 15 minutes of your lesson going over the material, and then it just naturally evolves into a conversation, which is where we can get the really good practice. And then that kind of third way you were talking about. So since I'm picking up Dead Cake, I think, for a lesson or two over the next 2 weeks, she sent me some material that she wanted to go over. So I thought that was cool too. It's like, what do you want to do? Let me prep for that, and we can base our lesson off that.
Yeah, it's going to completely depend on the student. Like I've said before, I have some who really like to get through a lesson, and some who we've never finished a lesson before, and it just totally depends on the person. I would love to hear from
And that
Kate.
would be me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh,
Introduce yourself.
I had to install an app of the Twitter again because I deleted earlier. So from mobile browser, it doesn't allow you to speak.
Did you rage delete it? Did you have a moment of rage?
Yes. And it was a rage moment to reinstall it, actually. So, hello again. I'm a student of Sandy. So don't mind me when you about the lessons, because I've already had with Andy, I think, many lessons. Can we say this? So, and we have all types of the lessons, like only talking, all 40 minutes, an hour actually, and doing exercises different, like reading, speaking, listening to, writing, and I don't know, writing. We haven't done writing.
No, we want to do that in the future, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what about Connor said about that I sent him materials, lessons, which I actually want to do. And what I want to say is that I've had already many lessons, so I know what I prefer to do, what I want to. So, and
what you want.
for other students, it can be their first lesson. So it's better to maybe introduction, listen to what people want to.
Yeah, and it might take a few lessons for your student to be comfortable to say, I want to do it this way. So you can always just pick one of those options and start going with that, and then switch. I had one student who we went through grammar lessons at first, and then eventually she said, look, Sandy, I don't want to do this. I can do this in my own time. I have all the books, I have the internet, I can do this in my own time. Can we just talk when we meet? Because I think that's the most valuable. And that was great because she was taking over her own learning priorities and her own learning journey. So it was great. But it may take a few lessons for you to establish that relationship and for your student to become comfortable with telling you, hey, I don't like it. I don't like this. Let's do something different. Do we have anyone else who wants to speak? Please just let us know. Otherwise, Dead Kate, can you tell us what are the good things about the lessons we've had so far, and what are the bad things? I promise I won't be offended, just so we can share some knowledge to other people.
Yeah, at first you say bad things, and then you have a homework. Yay! So
I threaten her with homework if she says something.
I can say it's like from all the students. I can say it just for me. For me, the best thing is that at the start of the lesson, Sandy asks me about what I want to do. Do I want maybe I want to talk, just talk about something. It helps too. It's actually, I think it's the most helpful thing during these lessons, because we can read, as your other student said, we can read without teacher, but we have no practice for speaking, for pronounce different words. So, and if you want just talk, it's okay. If you want to do exercise, that's okay. So you have this choice at the beginning of the lesson. So it's really good and comfortable for me. Well, what else? It's a useful thing when the mentor has this screen sharing thing, so you can connect in through the phone. For example, I don't have other devices right now except for my phone, so I can't like do many things at the same time. So it's, for me, it's really
Yep, no, that's good. Screen sharing is going to be helpful
Yes.
for most people, I think. And you can do fun things like go on Google Map vacations on Google Screen. One thing I love to do with my student is, if they're comfortable telling me, obviously some of them might not want to say, but tell me about where they live or where they used to live, and we go on we share screen and go on Google Maps and explore their region, and they show me like the cool castle in their city or whatever, and then I show them where I am, my favorite beach that I take my dog to, and it's just a really nice way to start conversations and get to know each other a little bit. Obviously, it's not appropriate for everyone, but I now know a whole bunch of places where I'm going to be going to try out borscht in different parts of Ukraine when I eventually visit, which is exciting. Val or Tatiana, do you guys have any things you want to bring up or topics you want to discuss? Otherwise, I'm just going to keep just going to ramble through this space with Connor and Dead Cake.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's helpful to listen to Dead Cake and to other and to teachers as well, just to understand how other lessons are going, what possible structures there are, so that I could try them with my lessons. So it's just good to know how it goes for other people.
Yeah, that's cool. And if anyone else wants to be a speaker, please just raise your hand or request. So one thing we did want to mention today was the progress we've made so far, because I'm really, really proud of what we've achieved so far. And as Tatiana mentioned at the beginning, we now have 44 matches. So that means 44 students have been matched and scheduled their first meeting with a mentor, which is amazing, because there's several processes you have to go through. First, the student and mentor have to register, and then they have to be verified, and then they have to be contacted to arrange their first meeting. And obviously we are losing some people along the way who lose interest, but the fact that we have now got 44 is so cool, because it feels like and by extension, and with all of your help, I now have 44 new students, which is wonderful, because originally I started this because I couldn't take on any more students, and now I have 44. So I win, ha 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 ha. It's really cool. And that's mostly thanks to really hard work by everyone in the admin group who've been putting in so much time and doing verifications and helping with all of the backstage stuff. So really thank you so much to everyone who might be listening to this later or who's online now, who's been helping with that process. I have a question for Dead Cake. You, when we first met, told me that you were very shy, and now you are speaking English to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 unknown people. What are the best things to, because we have a lot of people in the Telegram groups who are quietly watching. What can we do to make people feel more comfortable speaking in either language, I guess?
I'm still not comfortable for speaking.
You're just doing that because you love me, right?
Yeah. So, well, I admit that I was very shy at the first hour lesson, and I can see my progress. Well, for now, I'm a person with a low self-esteem, so it's another reason to be shy, because you're afraid to make mistakes. And when you learn English in Ukraine, for example, so you don't have a practice, so you can learn all the rules, you can know the rules, you can write something just perfectly. But when it comes to speak, you're just doing, I keep forgetting words. I still do. And I still need a lot to study, to learn. For me, it helps that our lesson were made like friendly conversations. There was no pressure. So it was, if you want to do this, okay. If you want to do that, okay. Don't worry that you're doing a mistake. You're doing okay. So I'm the person who needs to hear this because of self-esteem, obviously. But I think that it's relatable to many people, that because we have no practice in speaking, and we're like always thinking what to say, how to say, do we do some mistakes? How horrible are they? So, and it's always with you. So I think it's time. The more lessons you do, the better. The topics, it really helps when you talk about the topics which you like and which you talk about. So pets, different things, favorite food, favorite movies, like simple thing, but it still work. What else? And I'm talking to many mentors now. That's because I like missed my lesson during my vacation, so I want to have more. And it's still interesting. I think the more you're involved in this, the more you want to speak with other people. And
Yeah. That Cake is an overachiever. She wants to learn every single accent that exists in the world now. So she's trying to pick up new mentors all over the place. It's wonderful.
yeah.
And I'm only a little bit jealous. Okay. So one thing I wanted to just pick up on is you cannot underestimate the importance of finding something that the student wants to talk about. The topics that we're going to provide are very broad and you might find quite dull, but it's the only way to kind of set the conversations going and also have some kind of organized framework. And it's based on the IELTS standards, so that eventually, you know, the student, if they want to take a level test, they'll be familiar with topics that will come up in those level tests. But a lot of the topics are very standard, very boring, and your student will just kind of go through the motions because they've already done a lesson like this at school or at some other learning forum. What really gets people talking is when you can find something that they want to talk about. And I'll just give you guys an example. I was helping someone who was preparing for a speaking test so that they could get into university, and we did 3 sessions together before his test. And at first I just went through example questions from the exam so that he could prepare, but he was giving me very short answers that felt like they were learnt by heart, and it wasn't very conversational. So in the next lesson I said, tell me what your favorite TV show is. And then we spent an hour, honestly, talking about Breaking Bad and all the different characters. And it was amazing. It just went from being something where we were, you know, going through the motions of an exercise to having a real conversation about everything from, you know, characters, morality, chemistry, you know. And this was just like this moment where I was like, okay, you just have to find the thing that the person wants to talk about. And that was amazing. And he felt super confident at his speaking test because he'd just spent an hour talking to someone he didn't know online about Breaking Bad, and he did really well in his test. And he messaged me later and said, "Thank you so much. I felt really confident when we did our exam, when I did my exam." So that's just an example I wanted to give. But getting to know your student and what they like, what they don't like to talk about will be the most important way to start important conversations. And they don't have to be serious topics. It could be something completely random, but it just gets them speaking and they stop thinking about did I make a mistake, because they want to get across what they feel about this character in this TV show, and they're not so concerned about whether or not the accent sounded strange or something like that. And so there's a lot of I have a lot of examples with that, like that, with all of my students. I kind of know what they want to talk about. Another thing I wanted to ask your opinion on, Dead Cake, is that we need to be aware as mentors that there are some topics we shouldn't talk about, especially for people who are in Ukraine at the moment. And I know when I first started teaching, I wanted to ask people questions about topics that I'd seen in the news and things like that. And I just want to warn mentors that it's not always a good idea. Let the student decide and steer the conversation, because you can end up asking questions that may not, they're not inappropriate, but they're not going to make the student feel comfortable. They might be the last thing that the student wants to think about right now during your English lesson. Dead Cake, do you have any advice about maybe topics to avoid?
What I have to say about this. So this is a sensitive topic, and you can meet a student who wants actually to talk about this, about their feelings, and it can be very it can be a conversation when you talk about this, and it's okay, but it can be a situation when students don't want to talk about this at all, because it would maybe somehow forgets for a little time about what's going on. My advice, but it's working for me, don't start with, I know I have been on Twitter for a long time. I know the NAFA thing, and this kind of support the people are doing for Ukrainians, it's really good thing, mostly. And we appreciate it, but I think before you know your student, before you're talking, don't try to make this, don't send memes, laughing memes. You know what I'm talking about if you know about NEFA. And those images of something which are humiliating Russians, but it's still a sensitive topic. So you never know how the person feel about this, because it's in real life, it's not so funny, and many things we're just try to laugh, so we're not crying as much as we could cry. But it's still very sensitive. So don't start with those kind of things, because I've already seen in the group chat, I mean massive group chat, that someone just came and starts to send stickers or something. It's not good for all of us, and it's not so like. Oh, don't start with this. Just
so yeah, just my advice would be read the room. Some people might like that, but some people won't, and you just have to establish that first. And similarly for some, we know that some people in the program are either connected with the armed forces of Ukraine or actually serving. And Quignor can jump in on this. Don't assume that they want to talk about military things. They might be here to not talk about military things. So we have a new request for speaker. Please go ahead.
It's me. Hi. I'm just
welcome.
I'm just that cake. Підхідка із опот. Your words was right, and most of thing what you should do with your new student, if it's not your experience, for example, war, yeah, for example, tragedy, for example, your loved one is in the army, so please don't share your opinion about this, because it is not your opinion.
Exactly, it's not for you to say if someone else.
Yes. For example, I'm living now in Ukraine. In Tuesday, I will have a first lesson with mentor, and I have already sent to my tutor a meme because I'm quite comfortable with my feelings. Okay, yeah. And I'm very open person, but no, not all Ukrainians are like me, and not all Ukrainians started to process their feelings about war, and not all Ukrainians using this word actually, because it's very hard experience. And if but what pissed me off what I become angry, it's when people talk with me like someone dead, you know. When they too gentle, and they are like walking on the frozen,
walking on eggshells.
Like this. It's like I see that you noticed my feelings, but you avoided it, my feelings, and it's pissed me off very much.
And that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. Sorry, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. Last moment, I forgot what I want to say.
No, I think I understand your meaning. So we need to be we need to walk a fine line between not bringing up something that could be upsetting, but also not treating the person as though they are a victim or I don't know what the right word is, but I hope you understand.
Yeah. When someone talk with me like I am victim, I am victim. Yes, I know it. But victimhood in Ukraine, it's not about laying down and crying all day. And we all trying to stand up. We all trying to fight, and we don't. No, I don't know. Okay, myself, I don't like when anyone talk with me like I have any like I'm paralyzed and like I can't do nothing with my life.
Yeah, that's good
yeah.
advice.
Yeah, and I remember very important things. I saw it many times in Twitter when Ukrainians talks with people from different countries, who with people who don't have our experience of war, full-scale invasion. Sometimes people trying to censoring our feelings. It's like, no, you can't feel hate about Russians. They are people too. Please don't do it. This is makes people. It's you literally gaslighting people, literally.
Yeah.
It's
Peacemakers, yeah.
Peacemakers. Oh, I love these people so much. And it's literally manipulation. It's literally psychological violence when you try to censor in Ukrainians feelings of Ukrainians towards Russians, because Ukrainians have right to hate them.
Absolutely.
Literally, because we have friends in Russia, we have families
even.
in Russia. Yes, we know these people better than anyone. Maybe some Belarusians know Russian, neighbors of Russians know Russians. That's why when Ukrainians talk about their feelings, and a lot of us need to talk about these feelings. Please don't try to censor it.
That's really good advice. Thank
or
you.
don't try to educate us. Because it's really easy. It's really easy to talk about who you can hate or who you can't when you're sitting at home and your country not at war and you don't wake up with the sounds of explosions. And it's really easy. I can understand how you can just look at the map and just, oh, there are good people there. So, okay, but you know, there was, okay, I will not talk about the story, but still, sometimes it's really just tactless thing when you come to the people who experience this, and it's even not ended, and we really don't know when it's going to be the end, but you can't just come and start tell other people what they should feel about this war, because they still losing their loved ones. They still suffer from different aspects of war, and it's just nature emotions. So yeah.
Yeah. One thing that really hit me hard when we were talking, Dead Cake, was sometimes when I say, how are you today, you say, oh, well, I woke up and I'm alive. And that's like, it's kind of a it's a hard thing for people who are outside of the situation to get their head around. But every morning people in Ukraine wake up and thank the people who work in the air defense, because it's that real for them every day. And it's something that we as mentors need to understand, that we get home from work and turn on the news and we may be very invested emotionally, but we're not in the same situation. And so we have to let the students guide how they want to talk about it and how they want to process what's going on. Thank you so much for speaking. It's really great to hear other people's perspective about how we should perform these lessons and how we can best support people. We do have a fairly strict verification process, but that's not going to eliminate people who don't necessarily know how to have these conversations. So I would just encourage all students to really take ownership over the conversations. And if a topic comes up that you don't want to talk about, tell your mentor that, because the mentor knows that this needs to be student driven, and so you have the autonomy to tell them that you don't want to talk about something, or you do want to talk about something, and definitely take ownership of it. And if it's just not working for your mentor, don't be afraid to contact us and say, look, I'd like a different match, because obviously we don't want everyone like just moving around for no reason. But if for some reason it's just not clicking, just let us know, and we can try to arrange to switch you to meet with someone else. And that goes both ways. Obviously you need to be respectful to your mentor as well, and they could also say that that things aren't working out with their student. I hope that won't happen, but you never know. But we want everyone to have fun as well. Like Tatiana's always reminding me, we need to enjoy this process, because everyone's here for free. Everyone's here volunteering their time. Sorry, Quignall's got his hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, not to interrupt, Sam, but yeah, I mean, just kind of reiterate.
Please
for anybody...
interrupt me. I'm just rambling otherwise. Yeah.
For anyone who's here now, or anyone who might listen to this later, like, just to drive that point home once again, this is student driven. This is student driven. It's not about the mentors. It's not about the mentors, as they were saying, giving your opinion on the situation. It's not about us being the mentors. And Dead Cake did mention the cartoon dogs, which obviously see my avatar. Members of the community, we're not a monolith. There are definitely some people who behave inappropriately, as Dead Cake was mentioning. Somebody who joined the group chat just started blasting all these memes. They hadn't even said hello. They just joined the group and started throwing these memes out. And as you said, Sam, you got to read the room. It's not about us as mentors in the West kind of West-splaining the situation. There are sensitive topics, just like you said, and we shouldn't be pressing something and making our students uncomfortable. But in another vein too, not all a mentor might make themselves uncomfortable too. So, I mean, it's just something we have to be careful of, something we have to be mindful of. We all have to be empathetic to each other in the situation. I mean, my student is in the armed forces. We don't want to talk about military stuff. I have a military background. It's probably something we could talk about for hours and hours and hours, but he doesn't want to talk about it. And honestly, neither do I. I'd rather, hey, what did you do when you grew up? What was your life like? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite music? What do you want to do, in the future? So, I mean, there's so many more things you can talk about than just, oh, I saw this on the news. How do you feel about it? Like, it's just not appropriate sometimes.
Yeah. And talking about the future as well, like that was one thing that really hit home for me, speaking with Alina, when she was saying, learning English and talking about the future was really good for her, as someone who is experiencing probably one of the most brutal aspects of the war, which is looking after injured soldiers. So she wanted to talk about the future, and that was really something that really hit home to me. Anyway, sorry, I'm gonna say this wrong, but Blagodat. How do I pronounce your name? The person who was speaking earlier, the student.
Благодать.
Blagodat.
Благодать.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for speaking up. I know it's quite scary when you're talking to people you don't know in another language, so I appreciate it. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your connection so far. I know you've only had maybe emails, or maybe you've had one introductory lesson with your mentor. How's the experience been so far, and is there anything you want to tell us, or anything we can improve about the process?
Okay, yesterday I saw a mail from my mentor, and it's Hak. Yes, it's his name. And because I am tutor of Ukrainian language, and because I know a lot about process of learning language, I have no any problem with this mentor. We find time which suits to me and to him, and it's all perfectly fine. It's all right already. So
Oh, that's great. It's actually your mentor is actually a female. I made that mistake.
Okay, maybe she's female. Okay, it will. Damn, you. It will be a surprise for me.
Yeah, it would have been.
Don't worry, we won't tell her.
Maybe I was shocked because I thought that this guy from Ireland, and now this is a girl from Ireland.
We won't tell her, but we will show her record.
Yeah. I made the same mistake because she came to a training session, and when I invited her to speak, I was expecting a male's voice just because of the name, because I had no idea what sort of name it was, and then she started speaking, and I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, that's thank you that you told me.
Good to know.
And
good to know.
yeah, no, I have feelings like someone told me who will die next in the Game of Thrones. You know, these feelings I have.
Awesome. That's great. So I think that I think also your mentor was learning Ukrainian. Are you? Because some people have asked this, and we do want to impress on everyone that this is about the student. But a lot of people who joined are interested in learning Ukrainian. Are students comfortable with a little bit of help towards their mentor in terms of learning how to pronounce words, or giving them tips?
Okay, if she told me that she won't learn Ukrainian, of course I will help she. Of course.
That's great. Yeah, it doesn't need to be the focus of your meetings, but for people who are interested, that's something that you could explore with your tutor. So go ahead, Quickman.
Especially when we talk about pronunciation, because it's my favorite topic in Ukrainian.
Oh, great. That's cool. Quickman, what did you want to say?
Yeah, so I've been studying Ukrainian too, but я не можу говорити українською. It's not very good. I was put in my place, so my second lesson, and Blahodat, I appreciate you saying like you would help, because my second lesson with Alexander, like he was trying to find a way to say it in English, and I was like, I think I know the Ukrainian word, and I was like, oh, just look it up. And he's like, no, these are not Ukrainian lessons. These are English lessons. I was like, fair enough. All right, we'll figure it out in English. But yeah, I mean, the focus is helping you guys with English. I would love to learn Ukrainian. I'm going to keep practicing it. I'm going to keep learning it. I would love to get better at it. But the reason I joined this was not to learn Ukrainian. It was to help you guys with English. So if you want to help and have tips and stuff, I think that would be awesome. But also, for anyone here and anyone listening later, the purpose of this is to help you guys with English. So that should be like the number one focus. Everything else should come secondary, I think, unless I'm speaking out of place.
No. And absolutely, it is the focus. I do think that it helps to establish a good bond, because many of the people who I teach, when I try to pronounce something in Ukrainian, they sort of laugh, but they look really happy about it as well. So maybe it's just the fact that you're trying.
I didn't laugh.
No, you didn't. You were very kind. But also it helps to make the student feel more comfortable when they hear you struggle with pronouncing Ukrainian words, you know? So there's deliberately a section in that introductory lesson where the student is to help the mentor pronounce greetings in Ukrainian, and that's put there deliberately so that you can laugh about how bad your pronunciation is. And I hope that makes the students feel a little bit more comfortable about making mistakes and persevering. Tatiana, did you want to? I'm not sure if you're able, but do you want to bring up any other topics, or Val as well? Do you guys want to steer this in any direction, or should we just keep rambling?
I'm actually still sitting in a car.
Have you bought a car yet?
No, my husband is doing all this stuff, and I'm sitting in a car, so listening to you guys. Yeah. You can start another topic if you want. Are we doing it for an hour like we did before, or you want to do it longer?
I'm free. I don't mind. Whatever people want.
Well, I'm still in the car, so I'm not driving anywhere, so we can hang out here.
Dead cake, so I don't really have any topics.
How about
I don't understand what did you say right now?
He said he's as shy as you, which is not very shy.
Oh, he's lying. I have a question for Blagodat. Are you in the chat, in the Telegram chat?
No, I'm not in this chat because I'm trying to обмежити.
Limit, maybe.
to limit. I'm trying to limit information that I consume, because I burn out sometimes ago, and now I want to care of myself, care of my mental health. That's why I am not in the chat.
Oh, I just asked because we're followers on the Blue Sky, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I heard about this program from you.
So I thought if you're in the Telegram chat, and how did I miss you? So okay, so well, it's okay too. It's the most important thing is that you already have a mentor for you. So
and definitely take care of yourself. I mean, I know there's sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming in the Telegram chat because it's so big right now. Sometimes I have to scroll back through 100 messages to see what's going on, and I know that's
sorry.
No, it's not all you.
Usually we're talking about nonsense.
It's usually nonsense, but I do like to peruse that nonsense when I have time. But I know that it's a little overwhelming for some people. So do any of the students who are listening right now want to bring up any other topics or mentors?
Oh, I'm not a student, but about the Telegram chat, I want to tell you guys why it's like kind of important to be there. For example, I have one of the mentors contacted me about the student in the chat because he wanted to mentor this person, because they kind of start talking at the group chat. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to be in the main chat, there is a Telegram for just important announcements as well. So if you don't want to have all of the nonsense, you can just join that one as well if you'd like.
Yeah, I would, if you do have Telegram, I would recommend that one that San said. There's one just for major announcements. So when we have our Twitter space, it's up there. That one can be helpful because it is a lot, and I probably wake up every morning to like 400 new Telegram notifications. So
isn't it cool though? We've turned a Telegram chat into a real organization. I'm so proud.
Yeah, I would feel proud, Stan. I mean, how many do we have? We have over 200 people in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Not everyone's active, but that's still 200 people. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, for example, I can tell you right now, like for numbers, we have 129 applications from the mentors, and we have 150 verified students.
That's so cool. Hey, Tatiana, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the verification process, because one thing we do need to keep mind of is, the speed at which we can get people to matches depends at the moment on Tatiana spending a lot of time late at night matching people. And so we do want to encourage anyone who wants to help behind the scenes with things like verification. Please just get in touch with us, because we're always trying to recruit people who are interested in doing activities which are non-teaching related, because that helps us a huge amount. Maybe can you just explain a little bit about what's involved in the verification process? Rebecca's not here today, but Rebecca is the head of, Rebecca coordinates the mentor verification, and Tatiana coordinates the student verification. Do you mind sharing just a little bit about that process and how it's done?
Oh, sure. Like for students, so when you fill out the form, we see it in our database, and then me or my team will contact you to have like a little chat, like for 5-10 minutes, to ask some questions to know you a little bit more. So in the end, we can match you with a mentor who maybe works in the same field or share the same interests and stuff. Because if you related in some fields like that, it helps with communication and conversation and how to build your lessons together. So after we have verified the student, it goes to the other database with all the verified students, and then I have like a little profiles to each student about like different information that we have from verification and availability as well. And then Rebecca gives me the list of her mentors, and then I just look on the availability of the student and the mentor. The most important thing is the time zones. It's crazy a little bit, but I help myself. I just put all the mentors to all the mentors. I put their availability to the Ukrainian availability, so it's helping me to match students and teachers. And after the match, I will match them together. Then the magic starts. They start communicating, and the mentor will send the email to the match student, and they will start communicating and trying to set up the first meeting.
Yeah, thank you. So if anyone wants to help with that process, we'd really appreciate you getting in touch, either as a student verifier if you're another student, or a mentor verifier if you're another mentor. Hey Val, while we're advertising, are there any specific skills that you need help with from your side that we can do a little advert for? Oh, he's a listener, not a speaker. I know that a lot of magical things happen in Val's area, which I know nothing about. So if anyone is in the IT sphere and wants to volunteer some time, I know he's looking for people who can help with something called full stack development. I don't know what that means, but please reach out. Okay.
Like, I don't know too, like what it means, like all the qualifications he is looking for. I know that my sister is in IT. I just sent her a list and told her, like, if you think you know something from that, contact Val.
Yeah.
She's like, okay.
I just say,
Yeah, so sorry guys, I just reconnected here. I keep losing the connection for some reason. But Tatiana, I did speak to your sister. She seems to have a perfect background for what we need. And as far as anybody else that may have similar skills, it's really just anybody who worked with any sort of web development and who's willing to learn the specific tech stack that we're using in the project. I don't know if anybody here has, so I don't want to bore anybody with the specifics of the technologies we're
someone might be
using.
listening later, though.
But
So.
just anybody in web development.
So basically, I tell Val my crazy ideas, and he magically comes up with solutions, which is great. But he does need extra pairs of hands, or people with the right skills. So if anyone's interested, we don't pay well, but it's fun. Anyone else want to bring up a topic?
People are following me on Twitter from this space.
Great.
Guys, I don't know if you're in the chat or you're just in the space, but I'm not active on the social media for now. So
but she does write short stories in Ukrainian on and you can find them at her Buy Me a Coffee page.
Stop this. It's not about this. No,
it's all about
Sandy,
this. It's all about elevating Ukrainian voices, and you are one of them. So,
Sandy will take a vacation during next week, and I'm already had a meeting with another mentor, and I'll get a meeting with other mentors. So. It's about verification from the student side.
Yeah, it's quality control of the mentors by Dead Cake.
Yeah.
Wait, are you putting us all to the test, Dead Cake? Is that what this is about?
Yes. There's verified mentors, and then there's Dead Cake verified mentors. It's a whole other level.
So be sure that you read in that lesson. We will have a lesson about alcohol.
Perfect.
No, it's really cool. Dead Cake is playing the field while I'm away, which is awesome. How many accents have you collected now, Dead Cake?
I collecting a list of the TV series, the TV shows and movies, which I need to watch. But still, I don't know. I just watching YouTube and just hearing voices in English, and I don't know which accents are those, except for I know that Peaky Blinders is I forgot. Birmingham.
You really like Doctor Who?
Oh, they call themselves Brummies.
Yes, Doctor Who, and or do you mean House? Sandy.
Sorry. My dog just ran outside to meet a small child, and the small child was less enthusiastic than my dog. It's okay. Everyone's okay. House is, well, he's British, but he uses an American accent. Dr. House does. But Dr. Chase, who is your favorite, is Australian.
I just said it once.
Not all Australians look like Dr. Chase, you should know.
I just said it once, or maybe twice, that I like how he pronouncing these words. So I'm I asked Sandy about the accent, and she says, yes, it's Australian. And after this, she's introducing me in new chats that she creating. Like, here's that cake. She's looking for Australians.
Yeah. I just had another idea for a topic, because I know that some students are patiently waiting for their matches. Can maybe both of you tell us about some of the ways that you are learning English in your own time and what resources you're using on your own to get you through until your next lesson when you can actually practice the skills?
Well, I'm mostly watching videos on YouTube, but I have a background, if I can say so. I mean, from my young years, I prefer to listen to foreign music. So, and when you love music foreign, you sometimes just listen to the song and then you go and translate some song, and then you're learning words, just phrasal verbs and other phrases, even sentences. So it really helps, because when you love some song and you keep listening to this, and you know what it sings about, so it helps you too. And YouTube videos sometimes, I like this thing, intuition translation. So when you're reading or listening to, so you can not understand some words, but you can understand in general. So it helps too. Well, and then you can go and look for a translation and still it plus to your vocabulary. As for me, works to watching the movies, especially those which you like, or then which you're watching like forever. I have my favorite movies which I rewatch like every year. So some of them I rewatch and can rewatch in like an original. So because I know what they're talking about. I cannot understand maybe some words, but still. And I'd say it's just my personal, one of the favorite movies, which I rewatch especially to hear how it pronounced in original, V or V for Vendetta, because Hugo Weaving is just talking so good. You just listen to him and enjoying his voice and how he pronouncing these words, and other actors too. Oh, that's it for me.
Any other hints you have, Robert?
Yeah, I watch on YouTube too, and sometimes ago I discover magic of Netflix, and I watch first in my life a TV show on Netflix with subtitles. And no, it wasn't English show. It was Polish show, Краківські потвори. It was great. It was great. But after I realized that it will be a good idea if I will watch English movies with subtitles. I can pronounce this word. And after I watch first in my life English speaking English movie, Flash, Fresh, with Sebastian Stan, because I like thrillers, I like detectives, I like psychopaths, And that's why I watched this movie, and it was great. And the most important moment that I understand most of the biggest part of the word. Sometimes I need to rewatch moments and try to understand what they're talking about. But after then, I started watch English-speaking movies, and now I'm doing very pervert stuff from linguistic point of view. I am reading some smart novels in internet on English, and how I and this is my way how I learning English words. Yeah, I'm reading smart in internet.
Oh, may I add another thing that I remember? Um, um, again, for YouTube, it's good videos about animals because there are more action, less words, but they're still like talking slowly. And sometimes when you and Sandy, when we had Sandy's off. Sandy gave me a link to the BBC.
It's okay. She's connecting back. Something happened.
Sandy gave me a link to the BBC. They have many lessons, different with pronunciation, with vocabulary. They have like learn English in 6 minutes. So many materials, but sometimes when you're sometimes they explaining slowly and then they put dialogues, and dialogues can be really quickly. So if you're not if you're a beginner, so you can struggle a little with it. And about the books, yes, definitely. I'd like to add that from time to time I like to read books in English. I mean, at least a little bit, and try to read out loud. I don't know how the correct way to say this. So I'm like, it's like training for myself for pronunciation, and now when I have like another mentors to test. We already had two lessons like this with Rebecca. We're taking from Amazon. I'm sorry. They have book samples. It's free, so you can just click on that book sample and you can read, and your teacher will see this. And while you're reading, your mentor can then correct your pronunciation and other mistakes and help you with the translation and the meaning.
Oh, thank you. We have another requested speaker. Mikola, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Hi, yeah, sorry, I'm a friend of Tatiana's, and I know Greek Noir as well. And I was just wondering, what were the books in English that you wanted to learn?
That's a question for the students, I assume?
Sorry, from Dead Mad Cake, who was just speaking.
I love it. Dead Mad.
What in books in English I want to learn?
What books were you reading in English?
Oh, well, you see, I must say a few words about process reading for me for the last few years. I mean, from the beginning of the full-scale war, I read while I can, so I'm quickly lose interest in every process of this. So sometimes I think it's better to start with some easier, but I have like a few books and I read them. I try to read them at the same time, and it's Gerald Darrow. He wrote about animals because I love animals, and that's so good. My favorite books. I have Howard Lovecraft, and it's so hard to read him in original. I have what I have read again. If you ask about book samples on the Amazon, with Rebecca, we started Terry Pratchett because I love Terry Pratchett. And yeah, when you read your favorite books, it feels more easy, I think. Adam Neville. The Last Days, I haven't started it, but I want to. Well, and I forgot the author, Sandy. Maybe you help me. The Princess Bride.
Oh, I've forgotten the name of the author as well. But don't you like
Okay.
Douglas Adams?
It's a movie. It's a movie, and the movie based on the book, and the book actually is very easy to read. I'd say it's the easiest book from my collection, the small which I have for now. I think I want to try to read Neil Gaiman because I'm enjoying his books in Ukrainian. Stephen King. I want to read Joe Hill. It's a book, Heart-Shaped Box. I like it very much in Ukrainian, so I want to read it in English too.
Mikola, just go ahead. We're kind of just rambling, so feel free to just jump in whenever you like.
Okay. The question was who wrote The Princess Bride, which is one of the best movies that's ever been filmed. It's William Golden.
Agree.
We definitely need you in the chat.
Yeah, I think we have a whole chat dedicated to Princess Bride, or did it just take over our small chat for a while?
We need a chat.
Well, what I'd love to have is like a book club, which sounds really corny, but a place where we can, have a discussion about a certain book and give people enough time to either read it or read the review of it before they come to the meeting. I think that would be really cool, and for movies as well.
Well, first I thought you would say "as you wish," but you didn't, so you banned from the chat. And the second thing, well, we have already many chats in the Telegram.
I know. We have too many chats.
I have a question aside from this topic. I'm sorry. Can we maybe in the next happy renaming day and maybe the chat for admins, maybe we can like delete one word because I just can between all the chats just get moving.
It sounds like you have a complaint. You should put that in the file, that in the complaint folder chat. There's a chat for complaints.
You banned me from the chat.
No, I'm joking. The complaints box just leads straight into a black hole. But if you really want something done, you need to talk to me or Tatiana or Val, and we'll do. The complaints process is being refined. Hey, didn't you like
not
Douglas
complain.
Adams
Okay.
as well? Didn't you like Douglas Adams as well?
You're still asking me?
Yeah.
What was the question? Do I like or do I read?
did you enjoy reading Douglas Adams?
Yeah, but I
Hitchhiker's
need to read it in English. So
'Cause
I'm really not
was-
sure. It's so tricky thing when you take a book. Really, sometimes it helps, sometimes it's not. Because when you really like the book and you want to read it in the original, so and you start to read and you don't understand like anything, and it's and you're not a beginner. I mean, so you know
Yeah.
many enough words so to
So
understand a few sentences. I don't know.
Was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy a difficult read in English?
I haven't read it. I just
Okay.
like I've
It's
read a few
difficult even in
paragraphs.
Ukrainian, sorry.
It is, but it's hilarious.
It's difficult in English as a native English speaker.
I read it and I really don't understand why people like it so much. I really don't understand.
No, well, it's so because of tastes. I think
for sure.
I like Stephen King, but I don't like all of his books. So some of them are just not for me. I think it goes for every author and for every person. It just depends on your tastes and your. Some of my friends don't like Lovecraft just so much because of his like style and all of this. How do I say this?
Racism.
But that's what I like the most about his books. So,
Dead Cake, are you? I know you
What
said you were
gonna say?
using. Oh, sorry. Maybe we do need the hands.
I was wondering if do you guys find audiobooks helpful if you have a good narrator?
Personally, for me, I can't listen to audiobooks because I'm that kind of person who need to watch at the person who talking. That's why I have problems with audiobooks.
Yeah, understood. It's not for everybody. I quite like them because I can listen while I'm doing other things like working or walking. But I know they're not for everybody, and you really need a good narrator to be engaged.
I haven't listened to audiobooks earlier, but for now I'm listening a few. And by the way, Audible has 30 days free trial, so you can listen to audiobooks there for free. And
I think they have free samples as well, so we might incorporate some of those into the materials for listening practice.
yes, and if someone of our students like Harry Potter, so there's a book, audiobooks of Harry Potter, and it's by the voice of Stephen Fry, and sounds so good.
Aliona just joined you. Would you like to join the conversation?
Yeah,
Aliona?
I decided to join when I heard Lovecraft, and somebody doesn't like his books, and I don't get how people can be like that. I think it's a bad taste, and if I were you, I would reconsider if I actually want to be friends with people like that. You know, you have to be selective about your social circle. Watch out for people like that. So be careful. Just be careful. And something else. Oh, and you said
red flags.
absolutely. And then Sam said about students who may like Harry Potter. I'm not a student anymore. But I'm just obsessed with Harry Potter. I grew up reading his books, and I remember like I would like I wasn't fluent in English yet when the books would be coming out, but I would like try to find them somewhere online and try to read them, because I was like, they were not translated yet in Russian or Ukrainian that I would be reading them in. But I was like so keen to find out what happens, that I was, for me it was like a huge motivation to learn English better. And ultimately, like when I moved to England eventually, I feel like a lot of that was me wanting to live where Harry Potter lived. And
Escapism, yeah.
right, but the thing is, like, it's weirdly like Britain, the way it's shown in Harry Potter movies, like it's weirdly similar to how it actually is here, so I wasn't like
all the magic and the giants and the dragons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the same.
Yeah, so yeah, I just
Awesome.
wanted to add that.
I was going to ask with the books, have you guys found like side by side, like Ukrainian and English?
The first time you finish a book in a language that you're trying to learn is apparently one of the best feelings ever. I don't know, because I've never finished a book in another language, but I'm sure you get a feeling of huge accomplishment the first time you finish a book in a different language.
I think if you can even read a book in a different language, if you can start reading it, that's already like a huge achievement. Because if if you're trying but you just can't complete sentence.
Yeah. Can anyone recommend any children's books in Ukrainian for me? Like, where is the cat? Who is the dog? That would help.
I can find out from my nieces. I can find out some book titles.
Please, that would be great.
Every time I come to visit,
pictures too.
They have
pictures.
lots of pictures in them. But like every time I come to visit, they're like, Alona, let me tell you about my book. And like every time, I know it's super interesting for her, but like every time it just ends up being a super boring story. But you have to act like you are so into the plot. But it's very cute. Yeah, they have some cute books. I was just too lazy to properly get into them, but I'll find out.
Thank you. That would be awesome. Aliana, I'm not sure if you were here at the beginning, but we had some very cool announcements. We've got 44 matches now. So that means these people have been registered, verified, and matched with a student. So things are really moving along, and I'm so proud of what we're doing.
I'm super proud of you guys. And I want, before I forget, sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, you go.
So I need to, I think I have undiagnosed ADHD, so my attention is all over the place. But I need to connect Tanya with a friend of mine. I went to meet him the other day, and he is from Center for Information Resilience. It's a non-profit in London that does like OSINT fact checking, all that kind of stuff. And I told him about the project that you guys are working on, and he said he might be able to get some funding for it. So I think we should,
awesome.
We should speak to him. So yeah, I'll give you his contacts, and he'll probably need like a little summary of the project. But he said he was like almost certain he could organize it, which would make it really, I feel like much easier for everyone.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Thank you so much for proactively reaching out. We really appreciate all of your retweets and support as well, Eliona. Thank you. Do you have any questions because we've got some mentors and some students in the group, and I've just been rambling for an hour. So if you have any interesting topics, feel free to jump in.
Are you guys talking about books today?
We're talking about everything.
About everything.
What are your favorite books in English that you read in English?
Dead Cake's just been through hers already. Has anyone else?
Blahodat, now it's your turn.
I haven't read books in English completely. Now I have one book. It's in my book shelter on English, and I didn't even open it yet. Mostly
have-
I'm
Sorry.
no, mostly I'm reading some parrot stuff in internet. That's all. It's not counting like a real book.
How about books that you've read in Ukrainian that have English translations? Are there any of those?
Oh, there is one great Ukrainian book that translated to English, and I truly recommended it for all English-speaking people in the world, because first of all, it's short, and second, it describes relationship with okay. Main character is working in NKVD, and his work is to kill people.
No way.
What a
Never
lovely
happened there.
yeah.
That's a plot
And
twist.
yeah. And in one moment, he started to think. Yeah, it's a plot twist. Yeah, he started to think. So maybe he's doing something bad in his life.
Is the main character Russian?
No, main character is Ukrainian.
Ukrainian. Okay, okay. Because
The
if he
main
was Russian,
character
he
is
would never think
Ukrainian.
that in the first place.
Yeah. That's the point. And after some moments in his life, he had a deep depression, and maybe he died, but we don't know. That's the whole plot. But I truly recommended it to you. It's «Я романтика хвильовий». Хвильовий «Я романтика».
Yeah, I've read it. I've read it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I would never guess the book by your description. But this book, this novel, this summer I bought like an anthology of books of novels in Ukrainian, and they were all on like the subject was about the war, but in the 20th century, the second World War, and World War II. And so I bought this book, and this novel that you just mentioned, it was also there. And I went to a coffee shop. I sat down, and it's like when you open a fresh book, it smells like really nice of like
I like
wood
that.
paper.
I like
The
to
moment
smell
I
books.
fucking opened it, a huge bird shitted on it, and I was like, dude, how
That's a
lucky
sign.
do I have to be to sit down, open this book, and like I will send you a picture of it to the space. Like it's literally on the letters «Я романтика». That's where the shit is. And I was like, wow, like this literally says a lot about my life, I think.
No, okay. A lot of shit happens in «Я романтика».
That's great.
Right? It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Sorry, I don't understand.
I said it's inevitable. It's like it cannot be avoided.
Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
So if you want to read some Ukrainian short novel, I recommended it because it's interesting, because a writer Mykola Khviliovy killed himself, and he was one of the main leaders of Ukrainian movement in USSR. It was already USSR in 2020s, and he after he found out that his friend was arrested, he killed himself because he knew that he will be next. And the story of writer and the story in this novel, it's very common because Mykola Khvelevy, writer, was convinced communist. He believed in ideas of communism, and after communism killed his friends, and after he has depression and he killed himself and left only a short letter to his daughter. So it's interesting story in book and interesting story in life of Mykola Khvelevy.
Interesting. Is anyone able to make a comment with the link to that author? That would be really great for people listening.
Yeah, I was about to say, Blagodat, could you put that in the
I've
chat
been
or
reading
something?
a few, and I know he wrote originally in Russian, but books by Andrei Kurkov, which I'm loving, because many of them have been translated into English. I think his first one was Death and the Penguin, and then Grey Bees is a lot more recent. Have you guys, students, read any of his work? Resounding no. Okay. And the other one was one called The Orphanage, which was very, very terrifying to read, actually. By Zidane. And again, I'm sorry for my mispronunciation of names. Go ahead, Mykola.
I think Mykola wants to say something.
I was just going to say it's mispronunciation, not mispronunciation.
What's the difference?
What?
Can you say the two words again?
It's mispronunciation, not mispronunciation.
Mispronunciation.
No, I'm talking about a woman. Her name is Mispronunciation. Have any of the mentors read any books from Ukrainian authors?
So this summer, I bought loads of books, but I haven't. Well, I didn't read even like half of them. I recently, like I started liking to buy books more than like enjoying reading them. But there was this one book, right? It's called I think it was called Tilo Sex Shlub. So it's like body, sex, marriage in English. And so the book is written by a Ukrainian. She's like she basically studies sex and relationships in the in the traditional Ukrainian culture. It was a very interesting book. I couldn't stop reading it, and it was not a very comfortable read in many ways, to be honest. But it was like really, really insightful. You know, I don't think I learned this much from anywhere else about this aspect of our traditions. And yeah, some of the traditions that we used to have turned out to be really shocking for me. So I can say I maybe became a little bit less of a patriot that day when I read it. But I was taking screenshots and sending it to my friends to show them.
Yeah. There's a book on my list called A Study of Ukrainian Sex or something like that. Is that the same book or is that a different one?
No, it's a different one, but I think do you know the others?
Oksana Zabushko?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be the one. Yeah, that's a different author. I haven't read the Zabushko one.
Well.
About Zabushko, her last books is translated in English, but it's Rhodes, I forgot name, but her last books is translated in English because before this chat before the space. I ended YouTube translation from Lviv book forum and listening to goddess of Ukrainian literature Oksana Zabushko. So I really recommended Oksana Zabushko too.
There's a book
and
I'm reading right now. It's called The Ukraine by Artem Chapai. It's in Ukrainian. It's really interesting where the author of the book, I don't know how much of it is fiction and how much of it is documentary, but he basically travels all over Ukraine and records his interactions and stories with various people. It's very interesting. He basically tells how differently people live in different regions of Ukraine.
And is that translated in English?
I don't think so. I
Into
think
English?
it's a relatively new book. It is in Ukrainian.
Awesome. How about movies? Can you guys recommend any good Ukrainian films to some of the mentors here?
I
Or
have
some
a
people who are listening later?
special page that I will drop in the comments. It's called Ukrainian Films, and on that page, we keep like the films that we either watched ourselves or somebody recommended them, and they are all either made, in Ukraine or they are about Ukraine. So if you find any good films related to Ukraine in any way, then you can, send me a message or to Tatiana, and we will edit that to their page.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, in our chat on Telegram, I shared our Culture Hub link too for people who's looking for books, for different YouTube channels, videos, and stuff about Ukraine.
Do you, Tatiana and Val, as Ukrainians living abroad, do you get most of your news and content from other Ukrainians? Because I'm wondering about how much. Because for me, when I started meeting students, I started wanting to hear different perspectives, and like some of the YouTube channels I shared with you, Tatiana, you hadn't heard of, but I think they're the main ones that English speakers listen to. How can we kind of maybe bridge that gap apart from finding Ukrainian voices who have good subtitles? Do you guys have any suggestions about that so that we can listen and pay attention to people who are actually in Ukraine rather than people who are spectating?
Well, I'm usually taking all the information, like all the news in Ukrainian, but also we have a lot of Ukrainians actually in Ukraine or who is living in US who is doing really good content. Like I recommend everybody to follow Yulia. Yulia is doing the great job, and I'm pretty sure Alona has more people to add to this list. Go ahead.
Sorry. So yeah, this is something that I'm super passionate about, this subject. And the reason why I'm super passionate about it is because a lot of people who support Ukraine, they don't know where to find the reliable info, and that's kind of what Ukraine does fact checking bot started, like the working group that does fact checking. That's what it started from people asking who to follow on Twitter and stuff like that. And so I've come to believe that like I don't go daily on like a news website to check the news because it's like when something happens you just find out from your feed, from the people you follow. But what I do put together is like and keep and update regularly is like the list of Ukrainians to follow. Right now the list is not like, it's not separated into like Ukrainian speaking accounts and English speaking. I don't know if it's worth doing that because it's like some accounts just tweet in both languages like myself.
But also if it's on
um,
Twitter, you can just translate. Sorry to interrupt, but you can just translate. Use the translate button on
yeah,
Twitter, which is
yeah.
so. There's no reason you shouldn't follow people who only tweet in Ukrainian.
Absolutely. And like, to be honest, I've become a bit disillusioned recently with Ukraine experts because like Russia experts I'm not even talking about, but it's always like very Russophilic takes. But like people who were like considered by Ukrainians ourselves, people who were considered like authoritative, right, and respected, they turned out to have really strange takes in terms of like their attitudes to Russians and their willingness to kind of to look for good Russians, right? And there was like this cultural event the other day. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like the subject was whether there is happiness after the war or something like that. And so two of well, I can't remember the name of the second author, but one of them was Anne Applebaum, who is like very Sasha. Quite sorry about it. So she's written a lot about the Holodomor. She studied history a lot. Like she should be in very, very like aware about Ukraine in the context. And so she was asked in the end of the this like panel discussion they had. She was asked by a Ukrainian person about whether it's appropriate to be promoting this image of good Russians at the time, and whether she can actually name any good Russians who are like real dissidents and not like Navalny, let's say, who is a bit of a Nazi. And so to be honest, like I was really disappointed by her response. And so like the more time goes by, the more I kind of I see more and more like evidence that when it comes to Ukraine, the best people the best people you can go to is just like Ukrainians, and they're not always like professional journalists or like, I don't know, acclaimed book writers or something like that. It's often like just people who are really passionate about like some subjects, and they write about that and about their life. And I feel like that's just like a really great way for people to connect with Ukraine, by following those people instead of like news sources.
And just normal people as well. And that's sort of what this project is all about. But like I said, go ahead.
First of all, I found Romantica, and it's free, so you can read it. It's only 16 pages, so enjoy it. And about Applebaum, yeah, I saw this video yesterday, and it was interesting to listen to a person who didn't experience war, and her country didn't experience war for decades, and she started to educate Ukrainians how they need to befriend with Russians. And I watched it, and just Anne Applebaum come to Ukraine and lived here a few months, for example. And after I will talk to you how much you loved Russians. Yeah, sorry. Most of Ukrainians are very emotional about this topic. And we back to Tim from the beginning of this space when I said that please don't educate Ukrainians, and please don't gaslight Ukrainians, and please don't censor Ukrainians' emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what Applebaum did yesterday, literally.
Yeah. Go ahead, Eliana.
Yeah, I'll drop that video because I was so shocked by what I heard that I clipped it and posted. Something that she says in that conversation is that I refuse. She says I refuse to. Oh, she says I think all of this should remain like in the sphere of ideas. The ideas of country, of what countries are like and what they can become like. And she's like, well, I have an idea of the country that Russia can become one day. A nation that lives by the same very values that your nation lives by. And I was listening to that, and I was like, bitch, that's a bunch of scumbags never had values like us, so they're not gonna start having them just because you decided that you wanted them, like that's not how it works. And it takes decades and decades and decades for any nation to produce or to show any significant change. And like with Russians, I'm pretty sure that like we are just not going to see that in our lifetime. And so this wishful thinking, I don't think she realizes how damaging that is, because by platforming that wishful thinking results in them platforming Russians at the expense of Ukrainians. It results in them like legitimizing them in the cultural and the info space, so they are present, they feel like they have the right to speak. And just in general, like it's really like patronizing to be telling Ukrainians that because she emphasized it when she was giving an answer. She was like, I think it's really important for Ukrainians to remember it. And I was like, I'm sorry, who the hell do you think you are? You are literally connected here to through Skype. You're telling people in Kiev how important it is to remember about the beautiful Russia of the future. Honestly, it was infuriating. And like I think it was last winter, my friend in London, it was in London, he invited me to some panel discussion as well with Apple and Applebaum, and I didn't go for some reason. I can't remember why I refused, probably because I didn't want to see her, but he later told me he was really happy I didn't go, because it was like 4 speakers at that talk. Not a single one of them was Ukrainian. It was a talk about Ukraine. And that's a super common thing. It's a super common problem when it comes to discussions about the war, that there will be like a bunch of foreigners who forgot completely or on purpose to include a Ukrainian voice in that conversation. And they just sit there and kind of, talk about the ideas of the beautiful Russia of the future and so on. But it's just really inappropriate. So I always like try to make sure that like if there is a conversation happening about Ukraine, it needs to include a Ukrainian person, and I try to like tell foreigners about it, because I've seen it's not something that naturally crosses everybody's mind, unfortunately.
Yeah, if we this is all really obviously relevant to the project, but bringing it back to advice for mentors, one of the reasons that we are creating our own content for lesson materials is that we can avoid certain topics. And in my experience, don't even bring up anything about the war or about Russia or about Russians until your student does, because you might be interested in what they think about this or what they think about that, but they most of the time I find don't want to talk about it unless they feel like it. So that would be my advice to mentors who are following along or listening to this later.
Just a heads up, guys. I'm getting my car, so I will be closing this space in like 5 minutes, because I have to drive across the Caspian Bridge.
Tanya, tell us please, how is your granny and mom?
They shocked. It's a cultural shock for them, but they have their own ESL teacher, and it's so funny to see how they trying to communicate with my daughter. It's like my mom is like looking at when she's talking, she's looking at me if she's saying it correctly. But the best thing is granny and my daughter, because they don't speak and they just communicate through like I don't know, like they just understand each other. It's like probably it's how
it's a special connection. Connection. Like, no words
elderly
required.
people and the kids can communicate better than adults with each other.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think did your mother join the program as well?
Yes, she did, but I'm not looking much for her, because she's right now in US and she can practice her English with me, with my daughter, with my husband, with my sister, and like pretty much everybody around if she wants to. But when she will be back to Ukraine, I would like to find her tutor.
Cool. What are the biggest cultural shocks for them coming over to the States?
Well, it's mostly for my grandmother because she never been outside of Ukraine ever. And in like 2 days she've been in Warsaw, then they flew to London, from London they flew to New Orleans, then in New Orleans in the customs nobody knew how to fill out the documents for you program, so they were the last people there, so everybody left from that flight, and I think me and my sister, we were waiting for them like for 2 hours to get out. Yeah, and it's for her. It's everything interesting around because it's not what she used to. And my grandmother, she was born in 1939, so it's the second war for her.
Wow. Yeah, it must be a complete mind bend. One of my students moved from Chernihiv to New Zealand just after just after February, and I asked her what the biggest cultural shock was, and she said, "People go to the supermarket in New Zealand without shoes on. Why do they do this?" And it's like it's a bit of a joke. But,
is that a thing?
It is. I'm afraid to say. In New Zealand, especially in rural New Zealand, people don't wear shoes a lot, and it's foreigners
no, that's
find it
cool.
insane.
That's cool. You guys can do that. I wouldn't risk that in London.
Yeah. So we
Okay, you're
that
the
was
first country to
funny.
visit after the war.
I don't know if this is a personal thing or if it's probably not across Ukraine, but she was like, and her new boyfriend wears odd socks, and she finds it really weird as well. Just about how casual we are about footwear in general.
Sorry, but as a person from Ukrainian village, someone in Ukrainian village also don't wear взуття. Як взуття українською?
Shoes.
Okay.
Also don't you wear shoes when they walk to the shop. No, it's real stuff.
It's nothing to do with different cultures then. Maybe it's just about urban versus rural living.
Yeah, and maybe it's connected with weather. When it's hot, when it's summer, you don't wear shoes.
Yeah.
I was in the Carpathians this summer, and my friend he never wore shoes there. And like his friends told me a funny story about him. Like you just never see him like wearing shoes at all. It doesn't matter what the weather. And they were like, one day he said he received the parcel with posta, and he was really keen to like get the parcel, and he was like rushing us to go to the Nova Posta department. And so we drove there, brought him the this box with the parcel, and he was like, they all get excited because they thought there was going to be something interesting in the box. And he opens the box, and there is like a pair of shoes of trainers there that he never wore them afterwards. He carried on, he opened them, he was really waiting for them to get them, and he just never even like maybe he tried them on, but he still doesn't
they just stayed in the box. Awesome. So I guess we need to wrap up if Tatiana needs to leave. So does anyone have any final thoughts, last words? We're going to do this every week, so please, if you enjoyed this, come back and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear more from students and new mentors rather than me just rambling on the whole time. But it's been really fun, and I'm so grateful for everyone who came, and so grateful to the admin team who've been working so hard to get this project moving so quickly, because it is incredibly quick. We've done a huge amount of work to get things rolling, considering that no one's getting paid. And I'm so proud, and I'm so excited about what's ahead. So the last words from me are just thank you, everyone. Dziękuję. And does anyone else who is a speaker want to say a final word for the week?
I want to say дякую as well for hosting. Thank you for hosting this space. Tanya, дякую for hosting as well. Not дякую for ending that, but that's I can forgive you for today because your granny is here and mom.
Thank you, Alona. Okay, guys. Is anybody else want to say anything? Okay, then I will be wrapping up right now, and we will see everybody next Saturday at the same time. Thank you,
Oh,
guys.
we had some hands.
No,
do you have a
just
minute?
like
There's a
bye-bye.
by hand.
Okay. Oh, okay, I see. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for explaining.
Thank you.
So to speak.
Thank you for the space.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you, Tanya.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.